Okay guys, at popular demand, I finally present you with my updated Conqueror build, updated for the Morrowind patch. Now, this build has proven to be so successful. As a streamer, you know, I've only just started for fun. I'm still doing it for fun. And before I launched this build, I only had about 55 followers, something like that. Well, that number increased to almost 180. Since then, this has been the previous build video has been the most popular video that I've produced, reaching over 10,000 views and I think about 165, 167 likes. And a number of people have been using it and have been loving it. Not too long ago, I received a message from a guy who used this build to reach emperorship. So I was really happy for him and happy to know that my build's been helpful to so many people. And yeah, ever since the Morrowind patch has been launched, a number of you have been asking me if the build is still viable with Morrowind, and I say yes, but with a couple of reservations. Now, we are now in Cyrodiil, the CP campaign, the Vivec one, and the stats are still pretty great. As with the previous build, I still use Rattle Cage and Transmutation, and these are my stats. So decent stamina pool, a very decent health, very good magical recovery for wearing full impenetrable, full heavy, and great spell damage and great crit resistance that goes up quite a bit, over 3k when transmutation procs. And yeah, I'm still a vampire, still use the boon the Atronach for magicka recovery. And yes, more or less the sets that I'm using are exactly the same. I'm still using Sword and Shield of Transmutation that proc on my back bar because there's a bit of a health margin there with that triglyph on my shield that enables me to proc Transmutation straight away, like I did with the previous build. Okay, and that brings my crit resistance to 31k. So yeah, I continue with Transmutation that procs on the back bar and Rattle Cage that procs on the front bar. Everything's impenetrable, and yeah, everything's enchanted with max magicka, apart from a couple of pieces, the smaller ones, waste and gauntlet and sabatons. Now, if you would prefer, you could use glyphs on your chest and legs, and your head, which are your biggest pieces, and I'm still using Scoria for that burst damage that I can time with another couple of skills. In terms of the enchantments on my jewelry, I've taken 2 increased spell damage and replaced them with a reduced magicka cost on my neck and a magicka recovery on one of my rings, and I retain the spell damage on the other. That really helps me with sustain and enables me to put more offensive skills on my front bar. So here we go with the skills. We start off with the front bar. I've got Vampire's Bane for a very nice dot and Major Prophecy. Now you could go with the other morph, but it lasts less. I think it's only 6 seconds. And again, this patch, it's all about resource management, so you want to go for the skills that cost you the less and that last the longest. Then I use Purified Light here. This is great for burst damage. You can time it really well with your ultimate, and it enables you to be a bit bursty when it's needed, even though you're wearing full heavy armor. Then I've got a Toppling Charge as a gap closer. I've got a Puncturing Sweep as my main spammable DPS and Radiant Oppression. Now here I use Ice Comet. You could still go with Dawnbreaker, even though it's the stamina physical damage ability, because you run so many dots and you've got so many points invested into damage over times effects on in your champion tree. It still hits pretty hard. I prefer Ice Comet. I keep switching between them. Another alternative that you could do is to put Eye of the Storm here and swap your dual wield for a lightning staff of transmutation. That will give you the 4th piece bonus, which is extra crit damage. And I say lightning rather than fire because your lightning staff will give you 8% damage to your AoE abilities. And mind, most of what you do is AoE, especially puncturing sweep. If not, you could still go with the fire staff. Now, because most people, because of resource management, because of sustain, will go vampire. Fire, obviously, very damaging to vampire. So you could still go with a flame staff. If you go staff, you've got to make sure that you've got at least one Destro staff ability on your front bar, otherwise you will not benefit from the bonuses of their respective staves. And also running staves can help you with Magicka sustain, since you can heavy attack and get some resources back. But having said that, I've not been having any issues sustaining with this build in a CP campaign, so I'd rather keep dual wield 2 Torug's Pact swords that will enable me to get a bit more spell damage. So let me put that one back in. Then on my back bar, same old, I've got Elusive Mist, Honor the Dead, Aurora Javelin. Although this is a flexible spot, you could use another skill such as Eclipse or Solar Flare, though it's a bit expensive to use. Eclipse is very annoying to Nightblades, and so yeah, you could put anything else here, really, anything that you fancy. And then Ritual of Retribution, I'm still going for this morph because it deals damage. That means it reveals Nightblade, and at the same time it can still proc Scoria and then channel Focus. This time I go for this morph because it helps me with my Magicka recovery. And then Devouring Swarm. Now you can still use Devouring Swarm. I still like it because it helps me when I'm under pressure, gives me health back, and at the same time it helps me to damage other players. But if you want, you could use the One Hand and Shield ultimate that gives you free block, reflects all sorts of projectiles shot at you, and enables you to continue to do damage. So it's entirely up to you. Now, in terms of food and drinks, let me just get to that. Right, this is what I'm running. It's the same as previously. I run Tri-Stats potions. I use this Essence of Immovability that not only reveals Nightblade all around me in a radius of 20 meters, but also grants me Magicka recovery, and Magicka back. So this is great again for Magicka sustain. And then I use Essence of Invisibility, the one that grants me Major Expedition for when I'm in a tight spot. And then these random Magicka pots. Now, as far as food is concerned, let me find it. I'm still running the Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which is again Very, very good, excellent for this particular patch that challenges you to resource manage better, or at least more carefully. And now let's take a look at my champion points. Now here they are, 37 into Warlord for 15% reduced cost of break free. And I've got 43 into Mooncalf for stamina recovery to help me a little bit with that. Again, I'm wearing full heavy, so that helps me with my stamina sustain. And also when you wield two swords, you can heavy attack and restore some stamina back to you. So invest a few points in here, at least cover 10% bonus. Okay, then 75 into Aconist for 14% magical recovery and 15 into tenacity to again help me restore more resources with my heavy attacks. Then I've got 40 points into Shadow Ward for 16% reduced cost of block. You will be blocking a bit at times, and you want to make sure that it doesn't cost as much. Then 25 into Elfborn, 50 into Spell Erosion, 55 into Elemental Expert. Then I put 20 points into Staff Expert, again because I keep switching between dual wield and dexterous staff. Excuse me. So you know, that's why I've got 20 points here. But if you're going to be set on not using any dexterous staves, just put these 20 points somewhere else. Then 60 points into Thaumaturge for almost 21% damage increase to your dots. And then 23 points into Ironclad, 20 into crit resistance to boost my crit resistance a bit more, but that's optional. Since you're wearing transmutation, you could put them somewhere else. And then 37 into Thick Skin, 43 into Hardy, and 64 into Elemental Defender. I put more into magic defense because I'm a vampire and fire hurts me real bad. And then 23 points into Bastion for all the Sorky Porkies out there, and damage shield stackers in general. Right, so this is it. I hope you're gonna continue to use this great build. It's really gonna continue to be viable, extremely viable in Cyrodiil CP campaign. Now for non-CP campaigns, the only thing that I would do is to swap transmutation for Lich, because Lich will give you that boost of 996, almost 1,000 magical recovery for 20 seconds every time you fall under 33% of your magical pool. It will happen only once every minute, but it really helps. So really this is the only time that I would swap transmutation for Lich. If you want to do no CP campaign and Battlegrounds. Although in Battlegrounds I would use a completely different type of build, because Battlegrounds is all about burst damage. And although you can be bursty with this build, you will not be as bursty as with other builds, or as when wearing 5-piece light armor. But I'll come up with an alternative build for Magicka Templar specifically for Battlegrounds. So just be a bit patient with me. I work, I've got a very intense life, and so my time to dedicate to making build videos is not really the greatest. So bear with me. But little by little I will update all of my builds. Next one is going to be definitely my Vicious Stamina Nightblade. That one's amazing. It's great build for both CP, non-CP, Cyrodiil, solo, and Battlegrounds in general. It's an amazing build. and that one's gonna be my next. But as I said, just give me some time and I'll come out with it as soon as I can. So thank you so much for all your support. Keep liking and subscribing, leave your comments if you have any questions, and if I can be of any help whatsoever, I'll be more than happy to do so. Okay, so I'm off for here, and good luck everyone, and enjoy Morrowind as much as you can. Bye.